What's going on YouTube? So of course Ford just recently unveiled a brand new generation of the American icon, the F-150. With it brought tons of new innovations, and now we have with us the latest 2022 model. This is one of the most stylish and affordable versions of the F-150, the STX. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this review and see if this is the best F-150 for you and your work and family. Alright, so getting things started here with the exterior design, that's an important part of why you might buy an STX. This is actually based on the base XL trim level. So what's going to happen is basically you have the additional styling features that make this significantly more stylish than that base truck, which of course is going to look very basic. So up here in the front, you have a new grille. This is a full black mesh grille. Substitutes in for the standard version of the grille, and you also have the nice body color surrounds that go around it. Of course, the F-150 throughout all the trim levels has I believe 11 different grille options. This is one of those, and I think this is one of the more sporty looking options, and it looks quite nice. In terms of the lighting, that's not really going to be upgraded for the STX though, so you're going to have full halogen lighting that's going to go for all of the elements, but one of the things the STX package does throw in are the fog lamps down here at the bottom. Now, I want to talk about something new for 2022 though. You now have the availability of a STX black appearance package. So that's going to keep the STX elements that I'm talking about today, but it's also going to throw in black elements all around the vehicle, including some more stuff with the grille, wheels, badging, stuff like that. That's something that's rolling out really to a lot of different trim levels on the F-150 lineup for 2022. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about your different wheel choices. So the STX is going to come standard with an 18-inch contrast alloy. However, you're probably noticing we have something a little bit bigger. These are optional 20-inch contrast alloys. I think this definitely enhances the way this truck looks. It really matches nicely with the silver exterior that we have. These are also going to be wrapped in all-terrain tires as well. And once again, if you choose that black appearance package, you're going to have a 20-inch alloy wheel, different than this, and it's going to be fully blacked out. Now as we come on up, we have our F-150 STX dedicated branding there. And then our mirrors, these are going to be pretty basic because this is, on the more basic end of the F-150 lineup. Nothing really going on here except for heating, and we do have a dedicated blind spot mirror, not active blind spot monitoring.
All right, so you're probably curious as to in what ways you can equip the STX package on the XL trim level, and they do limit your bed and cab configurations just a little bit. You're not able to get just the two-door version, however, they still do offer the Super Cab and the Super Crew, which is what we have today. They also have different bed configurations depending on which cab configuration you get. This is the Super Crew with the 5-foot short bed. Now, coming around to the rear design of the STX, of course you do have this branding right here on the side, which does kind of set off the overall design of it. And then, I'm a really big fan of the way this truck looks. Of course, there haven't been any changes for the 2022 model year in terms of the overall design. However, the F-150 has always had that classic good look. So up here in the middle, we have our Ford branding, we have F-150 stamped into the tailgate. Then if we take a look at our taillights here, these are going to be fully incandescent. Of course, this is one of the more basic F-150s that you can get, so that's full incandescent on all of them. However, of course, if you want the LED components, you can go up to a higher trim level. Dropping down, we have an exposed exhaust outlet on the right side. And then as far as your tow rating, I don't have the exact figure with me, but we will add a box in for this specific combination. Now, you're probably also curious about the practicality and how you're going to put this F-150 to work. So let's go ahead and get back here to the bed. So if we open up the tailgate, it is a lockable tailgate. However, it does not have the dampening component. So do keep that in mind. The tailgate is going to be a little heavy, so don't let it take you by surprise. Now look back here in the bed area of this. Like I mentioned, this is the 5.5-foot short bed for the F-150. And It is, of course, just a more basic end for the bed components back here. We don't have a bed liner on this model. This is just the standard configuration on what you're going to get. However, I do want to talk about this over here. So this right here is your power outlet here. This is a 2 kilowatt hour power outlet supply here. That is a $995 option. You can actually get a higher end version, you know, the one that you've seen in all the commercials that powers your house and all that. That's not what this particular truck has, but we do have the optional system. And I do also want to point out on the tailgate itself, you do have the nice feature of that little bottle opener on both sides of the truck. So if you're going to crack something open, a nice drink to cool you down after a long day's of work, you can do that, which is a really nice touch to have. Now let's talk about your safety systems as well as the warranty information for the STX model. Now it's going to be pretty simple because we don't have any active safety features on this more basic end of the F-150 lineup. So if you want those features, you will have to move up the trim structure to get them. They are available, but it's just not on this particular model. Now, as far as your warranty is concerned, you have Ford Signature warranty, 3-year 36,000 mile basic warranty, 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. But guys, that's all for the exterior design of this Ford F-150 STX. Now, of course, you can tell it looks really good on the outside. I think that's one of the strongest elements for this package on the F-150. But now let's go ahead and check out the interior before we take it out and test drive.
So as we walk up to this version of the F-150, it does have the regular key that you unlock with the keyless entry system. As you can see, we do have really nice running boards as well as a driver's side assist grip to get inside even if you're short. But as you can see, of course, this version does have the brand new interior for the F-150. And even though this is one of the more affordable models, it does have a nice aesthetic look to it. But let's go ahead and start off by talking about our interior material and color choice. Now you might notice I said interior choice, and that's because what you see right here is the only way you can get the STX. That's going to be a black cloth seat. It's a nice cloth though, nice and durable feeling. I do like this unique texture here at the top and at the bottom. Just gives it a nice looking design, and the seat is pretty comfortable to sit in. As far as the seats themselves, both the driver and passenger side are going to be fully manual. We do have an adjustable lumbar support over here. Now as far as the other materials, of course, this is not a fully loaded F-150, so we're not going to have leather and super luxury everywhere, but we do have nice materials. We have a leatherette armrest with a stitching detail. This is going to be hard touch, but it does have a nice texture to it. Windows are one-touch auto up and down for the driver and the passenger. And moving up to the main part of our dash, we have these nice gray accents through here, more of that textured plastic along the top of the dashboards. As we move down, your F1 branded area right there, gray trim that runs through here, and then gray and silver trim through the middle of the console. Now, one thing I did forget to mention though, you can't pick the color, but you can pick if you want the console with the bucket seats or if you want the third seat in the STX. So that's going to be up to you. Anyways, we, of course, like I already mentioned, we don't have the smart entry system, so that means we also don't have push button start, so you're going to have to use the traditional key and insert it in. It's kind of a little bit of a awkward angle here because you push it straight in instead of over here on the side of the steering wheel. So right off the bat here, you will be greeted with the standard gauge cluster. As you can tell, you do have the 4.2-inch multi-function display there in the middle, mostly analog gauges. Obviously, upper end trim levels can escalate this to more premium and full digital setups, but this is about keeping things simple and pretty basic for work and whatnot. Of course, we do have the urethane steering wheel, the newest Ford design. I like the layout of the buttons. We have our safety systems and cruise control stuff over there on the side. And of course, the wheel itself is going to be manual tilt and telescoping. You're not going to have heating though. Let's go ahead and take a look at the shifter, because as you're noticing, we do actually have the column mounted shifter. That's going to be on all the STX models, regardless if you choose the console or not. When you pull down for drive, you can push the button on the end there for manual mode and shift with these toggles. And then when we head into reverse, you will be greeted with the standard backup camera. As you can tell, we do have active trajectory. We have a line to line up your trailer. We can zoom in and out, and we do additionally have rear parking sensors. So this is a pretty nice setup. The electronic parking brake also is automatically engaging as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at interior storage, because this is about being practical for work as well as for family affairs. So starting out here with our center console, let me open that up there. Of course, this is going to be gigantic, just like it is in every F-150. We have this little tray, which we can move out of the way. And once inside, you just have an enormous amount of space. You can practically stick my entire arm down there, and there is a USB port as well. And there's the coupons. They fit in there absolutely no problem, as you'd expect. Of course, that's not nearly all of the storage. We've got some more storage here, 2 cup holders, a giant and very deep bin right here. Compared to the other trims, there's no covers on any of this stuff, but we do have 2 USB ports. We've got some storage down there along the side. We have a lot of storage up here on the top, and of course we have storage above the glove box and in the door trim. So tons and tons of storage for anything you might need. Additionally, for $195, we've got the optional work surface, so you can just fold that out like so. And then you have this really nice flat area where you could write stuff, you could fill out paperwork, you could stick a laptop, something like that. Like I said, again, keeping the focus on getting things done. All right, so continuing on, we have our 4-wheel drive controls. We do have a manual climate control setup with this model. Nice and easy to use. Just adjust your fan speed right there, zones right there, and temperature right there. No problem whatsoever. Off to the side, 12-volt outlet, as well as a nice household outlet, so you could charge the laptop perhaps as you use it on your work surface. And then we'll head on up here to our audio system. On the STX, it is the standard 6-speaker sound system, so let's take a sample. Overall sound quality is actually quite nice. It's surprisingly loud and well defined in here. Okay, so next we have our display. This display is actually 8 inches. It looks smaller than that, but that's just because of like the surroundings and the housing, because of course this is designed to hold a 12-inch display in the higher end versions of the F-150. So I think that's just a illusion that makes it look a little bit smaller than it actually is. As far as the display itself though, it is not really losing anything from what you get on the higher end models. Right now I'm in wireless Android Auto, and wireless Apple CarPlay is also available. That is included since this is the Ford Sync 4 system. This is their new software, the latest design. Nice and responsive. You can quickly click through different things. And you know, they do a really good job of just keeping things nice and simple. Your additional functions like your Pro Power on board and your towing will be located there in the features section. And finally, as we move on up, we have a manual dimming mirror. The lighting in here is LED, so that's nice. We have a sunglass holder. And then up here at the top, we don't have a sunroof. You can't get one on this specific example. You also don't have the sliding glass in the back. But once again, like I said, that this is, you know, based on the XL trim level, so that's the base trim level of the F-150.
All right, guys, come on back here and join me for the rear seat area of this F-150 STX. Now, of course, we do have the crew cab configuration with us today, and this is just an absolute massive amount of space. I mean, this is just incredible. So as far as the real legroom figures, you're going to be looking at 43.6 inches of legroom, 40.4 inches of headroom, and you know, as you can see, just both figures are absolutely ridiculous. I'm 5'9". I can fully stretch out, and then my feet can slide up underneath the seat. I'm just so comfortable, and there's so much freaking space. And then the headroom, honestly, this feels a lot larger than 40.4 inches of headroom because there's just so much acreage up here. Also on the ceiling, we do have some LED lighting, a nice coat hook. Then if we turn our attention towards this area, since we do have the front bench seating, or not the front bench seating up in the front, we do have all this area right here. We have cup holders integrated into the top. If we drop below that, we have a 12-volt power outlet. We're also going to have vents, which is a nice feature that honestly I didn't expect to see on a cheaper truck like this. Then if we drop lower than that, we have a USB-C, we have a regular smart charging USB, and we're also going to have a household style outlet. So plenty of connections. I'm really impressed to see that many connections and stuff on a more basic truck like this. As you can see, we don't have a central armrest. However, we do still have this really nice middle seat, which honestly is just as comfortable as the other two. And then if you look at your door trim, there's a lot of door storage. As you would expect out of a truck, you got to have the practicality element. And speaking of practicality, let's talk about how we can use our seats back here. So of course you can just lift them up, and that reveals this whole area that you can just use for any type of item that you're going to need. Maybe it's raining outside and you don't want to haul stuff in the bed. There's going to be lots of room back here. Like I mentioned previously, you pull in this little strap that will release it. You can also fold the seat back down, and then I'm not really sure why you would want to do this, but there is a little bit of space back here if you want to throw some stuff. Now your passenger seat is going to be manually adjusting, as you would expect. You can of course get that on higher end F-150s if you want it power. Up here in front of the passenger, we do have this little storage cubby right here. You could definitely put some individual coupons in here, so that's a nice element. And if we open up the glove box, honestly this is a fairly good sized glove box. I was kind of expecting to have it bigger on an F-150. However, it's certainly big enough to put our coupons. I mean, that is of course going to be no issue whatsoever to fit those coupons in here. You can see, let me grab them out of the center console here. No problems, guys. So you're going to be able to save money. And then up top, we do have a really large mirror. Holy crap. This is really large. It doesn't have a cover on it, and there is also no lighting or anything, but I do like that they included the mirror, and we can also detach it as well as extend it out.
That we were up to 65 miles per hour. So one of the things to consider when you're looking at the STX is actually which powertrain configuration you want, because you have a lot of different choices when it comes to the engine options. As a matter of fact, you have every choice except for the Power Boost Hybrid. That's the only thing you're excluded from getting. So that means you're going to start off with a 3.3 liter naturally aspirated V6 like most of the F-150s in the lineup. However, that's not what we have today. We have the next step up the ring, which is a 2.7 liter twin turbo V6 engine, and that's making 325 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, which particularly in terms of the torque, that's a substantial upgrade over the base 3.3 liter.
Right. Now, of course, that does mean for your other engine options, you do have a 5-liter V8 option. So if you need that V8 power, then you can get that on the STX. You can also get the 3.5-liter twin turbo V6 that you see in stuff like the Platinum model that has the most 400 horsepower, 500 pound-feet of torque, which is nice that Ford does give you that option of just being able to do anything.
I mean, that's really great. I love that. I've praised them in the past for doing that, giving you the availability of pretty much every engine option on every trim level. That's very unique. One engine option, though, is gone for 2022. If you're one of the few people that like the Power Stroke diesel, that has been discontinued. So you're not going to get that on any F-150 anymore.
Really good.
Yeah, that was really quick. this might have been the first time that me and Mason have been with this 2.7 liter EcoBoost, and really I'm quite impressed because it doesn't feel like a big downgrade from the full-on like 3.5 liter turbo V6. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, though, is the transmission. So as I turn in here, you may not be able to see it on camera, but the gauges actually have an indicator. It tells me which gear that I'm in. This is a 10-speed automatic transmission, just like with the rest of the F-150 lineup. And this is another very impressive element of this F-150 because this transmission is buttery smooth. It is so smooth. And you have a ton of gears, yet you don't have any sensation of like the vehicle being confused or anything like that. And as you look at the indicator, I'm pretty sure Ford just puts this on here to brag, basically, because when you're driving around, you see how quickly it gets up to a really high gear, and then when you put your foot down, it can drop sometimes 4 or more gears immediately like that. I might demonstrate that a little later in the video, but it's really spectacular.
Now, as far as your drivetrains, of course, you do have 2-wheel drive as standard equipment, optional 4-wheel drive. And then for your fuel economy, this particular model is coming in at 1723.20 miles a gallon combined, which really isn't bad fuel economy at all for a full-size pickup truck with as much power and torque as this motor has. Alrighty, and I do want to mention the ride quality overall for this STX F-150. Now, this has always been a pretty impressive element for me in this more basic configuration because honestly, it doesn't even, if I close my eyes, I knew I was in an F-150, I don't know if I'd be able to pick out the trim level, which is really a great thing because it rides really well. It soaks up the bumps. You know, of course, with a truck, you have like the really kind of a little bit bouncy suspension that soaks up the bumps well, but it's not in like an uncontrolled manner, and I just really like the way this F-150 rides. Also, the cloth seats are great, and we will get a sound level reading because it's also very quiet in here. 57.2 decibels, really good figure. For those of you that watch our reviews a lot, you'll know that that's a really good figure. So overall, I'm very impressed with the ride quality that this F-150, even in its more basic trim levels, displays.
Let me, circling back to that transmission thing I was saying, let me demonstrate. We're actually right now in 9th gear, 9 out of 10, and when I put my foot down, just pay attention to how many gears we drop and how quickly it happens. So we went straight to 4th gear, and it happens without any hesitation, and I was able to add like substantial acceleration really quickly.
Now, I do also want to mention our airball and slam dunk since we are in our home state of Kentucky. So for our slam dunk today, we're going to say it's the exterior design. We really love the way the STX looks. We've always liked that in the past, and that is why this continues to be a very popular choice in the F-150 lineup because it looks really good at that more affordable price point. Now, one thing, I guess that's kind of with a little asterisk on it, one thing we don't like about the exterior, and that's going to be our airball today, is the lighting. You know, honestly, it's 2022. I really don't expect to see incandescent or halogen lighting up in the front and really incandescent lighting throughout the entire truck. I don't think it would hurt Ford's bottom line too much if they just threw in like a LED headlamp. It's really kind of a safety issue at this point to have halogen reflector headlamps. So it would be nice to see them throw that in on all F-150s. All right, and let's go ahead and discuss the pricing for the STX. Like we've mentioned throughout the entirety of this review, the STX is one of the more affordable trim levels of the F-150, so it's going to start at $38,840. That's with the Super Cab with the, Super Cab standard engine 4x2. This model does have a few options. You have, of course, we mentioned the engine. We also have a few additional accessories. You can pretty much equip any F-150 up quite a bit. So we're looking at an as-tested price of this one with the $1,695 destination charge to $48,350.
But overall, there are a ton of different versions of the F-150, of course. And this is definitely a great option, specifically if you are looking for having that extra style, something that stands out and doesn't look basic while also still being pretty affordable and saving you some money.
Well guys, thanks so much for joining us on this in-depth review of the 2022 Ford F-150 STX. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your truck buying decisions, please help us back by hitting that subscribe button down below. It helps give us access to cooler cars to get you all the best content. So please do that, tell a friend, whatever you want to do. Please get us a few more subscribers. Also follow us on TikTok and Instagram where we have other forms of content. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.